Hello, my good people on YouTube. My name is Troy Devlin. Thank you so much for tuning in. And if you're new to the channel, we discuss mindfulness and nature connection and all things health and wellness. I would ask that you smash that subscribe button, hit the bell, the whistles, the bell. Turn the wheel, whatever it is, hit the quan, whatever it is we do. To support my channel. I really appreciate that. And if you have anybody that you know that's out there struggling to lose some weight, I would ask you to share this channel with them because it's my goal to help those people. I'm a health coach. I'm a mindful outdoor guide. I specialize in weight loss and men's health. I have a lot of young men come to me, looking for guidance, looking for mentorship, and it's an honor to be able to provide that for them. And I'm passionate about health and wellness. I'm a science nerd, and I love the outdoors. I'm a student of nature. Mother Nature is such an incredible teacher, and I plan on spending the rest of my life learning to speak that language because I feel like it's very important. Now, in this video, I'd like to just put out a quick trigger warning. I'm going to talk about some things that maybe I'm going to talk about God. All right. So if I say the word God and that offends you or you feel some kind of way about it, that makes you feel bad, I'm going to ask you to move away from this video because if you're familiar with the what they call the pandemic, all right, it was they call it the COVID-19 pandemic. It happened in I believe around the year 2020. Well, around that same time, I became very sick. March 2020. I was doing some work in the community. I was in New York City. We were working in the pink houses and some of the surrounding communities there, and in people's homes and stairwells and elevators, and touching things and shaking hands with people and I was driving around for a week in a car with a partner who was very sick with some mysterious illness that he had had for like a month. And I myself fell ill. I fell very ill. And I don't feel bad for myself because it provided me perspective on things like being thankful for what you have. You don't realize how blessed you are until you don't have your health. And when I found myself, laying there and not really able to walk, not really able to breathe, high fever, pretty much, getting ready to die. At that point, I don't want to say obviously, but if you've ever found yourself in a bad situation before, there's a saying that there's no atheists in foxholes. And I found myself drawn to religion when I found myself in prison a long time ago, almost 17 years ago now. I was working in a maximum security prison in Fishkill, New York, and I was a young kid, and I was way over my head, and I was immersed in this world of just violence and death, and I was trying to wrap my head around it. And as a result of that, I became myself very religious. Just all of a sudden, I wasn't raised to become religious, but when I found myself in that environment where I was pretty sure that eventually I was just seeing so many people get hurt so bad, and I saw some people get killed, and I felt like sooner or later this is going to be me. And so I looked to religion, and one of the few first books that I started reading was a book called Tao Te Ching. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, The Way or Taoism, and so I was drawn to that, and I read a lot about it, and it helped me just kind of embrace the fact that they might get me. Yes, I might get killed, but I just have to surrender myself to that because it's my job, it's what I do. And when you're a soldier, you have to embrace death, because that's what happens to soldiers. Soldiers get killed. And if you fight against that, it's almost like struggling against the current in a river, right? Imagine clinging to a branch or clinging to a rock in a raging river. It just doesn't make sense. And so, to me, what Taoism was about was just going with the flow, and just, it's we're gonna die anyways, right? So if you're a soldier, you're walking around a dead man. Let me tell you, and it's a lot easier to just be a dead man than it is to cling to life when you're in that raging river, because that clinging is struggle, that's friction, that's pain, that's dissonance, and that is the opposite of going with the flow. So if you're out there right now and you're on a battlefield somewhere, whether it be in a prison or, God forbid you're watching us overseas. I have many brothers and sisters that are in the military, and they're probably a little younger than me at this point now, and maybe not all of them have faced some of the real stuff that some of us older warriors have faced. And what I would tell you to do would be to embrace death. Now, back to 2020, I'm sick. I can't get up. I can't breathe. It was almost, I would have thought I had tuberculosis, to the point where when I would cough, I was spraying out blood. It was coming from my lungs. There was something major wrong with my lungs. So I thought I was going to die. And with that, I got real religious, right? I started praying to God and Jesus and Yahweh, and I got out the Quran, and you start making these deals when you're afraid, and what I asked for was just the strength to be able to bear whatever it was going to be, whether it was going to be my passing, or hopefully it would be great to be able to prevail. And one of the things that I thought to myself was, it was a saying. I'm going to mess it up now because I'm in the heat of the video, but basically the point of the saying, it was a religious saying, and I found it online, and it was something to the effect of, greater is he that is in me, or that is in you. Greater is the power that is inside you than he that is in the world. In other words, those outside powers, opinions, things of that nature, unjust laws and dictates and influence, right? All that external stuff is not as great as the power that is inside you. And I just felt like that was such a powerful thing, and I hung on to that. And I also hung on to the fact that another saying, it was, no weapon formed against you shall prosper. In other words, that power inside of you is so great that any of that external stuff, even when it's formed into weapons, like viruses, right? I was pretty sure that I had gotten sick, from something that was probably a weapon that was probably created somewhere to, further some type of maybe even nefarious agenda, right? And I had gotten, ill as a result of that. I was probably gonna die, and I was just like, damn, no, I won't die. This external thing has no power against me. I'm gonna beat this thing. And so I held on to that. I really wasn't sure, so there I was, bargaining with God and everything else. And guys, like I said, you're gonna get mad at me, not gonna believe me. Whatever, that's okay. But God spoke to me. Okay, God spoke to me during this time. God came to me and told me some things. And I can't tell you everything that God told me because, I'm really not sure. I can really only remember some things. Maybe it was like a dream, whatever. And also, I don't want to offend people. I don't want to violate any guidelines. There were some specific things that God told me that I can't share on the platform. But But one of the things that God told me was to humble myself. God told me that I am basically a glorified monkey on this planet, and you know, He said that really I'm no different than like a plant or a tree or any other thing that like I trample over and I eat and I consume, and I just like go through the planet, so kind of like a bulldozer, thinking that the world revolves around me. And the world doesn't revolve around me is what God told me. God told me that I actually came out of the world like a plant does. And so He told me to humble myself. And He told me that I was a part of nature, not apart from nature, and that if my body went back into the ground, it would just become right back into the cycle of death and rebirth. And it was humbling yet liberating, because guys were glorified monkeys. And we tend to think that we're more than what we are because of our consciousness. And maybe instead of grasping and struggling and fighting against that current that we're in, right, which is life. Life is it's almost like that raging river, and we're in it. And does it make sense to grasp at little pieces of twig and weeds and stuff, or grasp it on rocks and things, or would it just make more sense to go with the flow of life? And that's pretty much it, guys. I just wanted you to know that life is a river, and we have some control, but we don't really control the river. We are just in it. And sometimes it's just easier to go with the flow. I love you guys. Thanks for watching.